You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis show. And a couple of your comments on the first preliminary matter that we dealt with. And Prince K. Bansa says that something, everything the NPP does today is literally the same thing the NDC did. On the moral concerns raised, asked John if it was morally right for the NDC to have distributed Toyota Prado to each national executive when at the time everyone was crying about unemployment and the cedi depreciation.
It's false.
We must holistically condemn all of these politicians. Danny Kwejo Ampofo is sending this from Dallas, Texas. He says that I know you are going to be busy today with a lot of issues to discuss, but please have the time to let me say a happy birthday to my uncle and my role model, Mr. Abdul Malik Kweku Bako, and wish him good health and long life. Please, I want to say happy birthday to his mate, who is Peter Anti-Party of the UCC. Okay, so praying for long life for all of you. Then there's a question for Kofi Bento directly. A disappointment in a question, expressed in a question. This is why A. Ansayeboa. He says that, can you ask Kofi Bento why Citizen Ghana went to court for a laudable reason to get the EC to publish the political parties' audited accounts, got the judgment they wanted, won, and the EC was ordered to release the audited accounts of the political parties, and they decided not to pursue the EC for the reasons why they went to court. So that's a question. A disappointed person in you guys.
Well, I can answer. The simple answer is support. Look, what people don't know is that some of us spend a lot of time, energy, effort, okay, trying to get these social goods. It's so difficult even to get people together to make sure that you go and get what you have won and acquired. And look, we have families to feed, we have other things to do. If somebody supports us, Citizen Ghana is suffering from that. That's the direct answer. Okay. We've had zero support to be able to pursue it. And you know how many other cases I'm doing right now as we speak. So look, we should all try and help groups like that.
I saw you and Nane were in court on this matter a couple of times.
Yes.
Okay. All right, but they say it's not enough. If you want a judgment, ensure that, you know,
we are doing absolutely our best and we are stretched.
Okay.
Support.
All right. All right. So now, as you know, we understand that Justice William Atuguba has retired, and we know that a couple others in the Supreme Court are due for retirement, including the Chief Justice herself. But the President has nominated 4 judges to go to the Supreme Court. And typical of the NPP's tradition, once again, someone who is not in, as it were, in the practice of law as litigating in the court has been brought in. Professor Ni Ashikote, a former dean of the Faculty of Law at the University of Ghana, that is, I mean, an academician, has been brought in. And then Nene A.O. Amegache, who is also a lawyer and former president of the Ghana Bar Association, is up for the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel K. Marful-Sau, and he's a justice of the Court of Appeal, and Justice Agnes M.A. Dordzie. They are the ones who are getting the matter into a different discussion. Once again, if I may start with you, Kofi, why is it that particularly the nomination of these two, because they sat on the Article 146 petition against the EC commissioners, it is being said that this is a reward for them? Is this a fair comment at all?
It's an absolutely unfair comment. And honestly, sometimes we must not spend our time indulging people who lead us to these really needless arguments. Okay, I remember telling my students that smart people don't argue about facts. They just check. These people were on a bail. There were letters to that effect long before some of these things that people are talking about happened. So all you need to do is check. All right, and honestly, these arguments are not necessary. There are some debates that are elucidating. I mean, they expose things for you to understand more. They are enlightening. These debates, they just dump us down. Okay, They are qualified, that's not the issue. Check and you will find out that before some of these things that are being talked about happened, these people are already on the path to the place where they are going. So please, we should now go into their credentials. What do they stand for? How will they rule in certain situations? What ideology, what philosophy do they come to the bench with? These are the things that will change this country. What will these people say if we said we wanted more technology in our courts? For me, these are the things that are important. How will they rule on certain things? Okay, instead of these arguments and debates that really don't help us at all. So that's the short answer. It's totally needless. We shouldn't allow people to take us on that tangent.
Okay. Kofi is a lawyer. Martin is a lawyer. Let me finish with the lawyers before I come to the non-lawyers.
The politicians.
There is a certain constraint that you would find from the lawyers, and there's a certain sanity that they may bring on this discussion. Yes, Martin.
Basically, it's the case, as the facts will tell, that the process had actually been long underway before this decision came out. That's a Charlotte said decision. That's the EC matter.
So it was avoidable. The Chief Justice didn't have to appoint them onto the EC committee, petition commission.
Yes, looking at it with hindsight, that's what looks like it. Because
but Martin, they work on other things.
Yes, but this they started the sitting in November, right? And you could see that these consultations and those things must have started before. It looks like we could have avoided it, because you see today a lot of the stuff legally you won't find any problem, but the public perception. So this one, unfortunately, once again, pure legal analysis will not cut it. Pure legal analysis will not solve this problem. For the lay person, as soon as they say, oh, these are the judges who are on the committee and they've been elevated. Oh, yes, that's it. No matter what.
But we should correct them.
Yes, we will try as much as possible. But look, perception is very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Because they would say, then it means that even there was a certain relationship. So this is a very difficult, tight rope to walk. I'm sure we've learned our lessons from it. Maybe moving forward next time, once we see that these are persons who are about to go through confirmation hearings for elevation into the Supreme Court, will be better off.
You're saying that if you were in the position of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, and you needed to pick, or together with the Judicial Council, select certain persons of the Superior Court to sit on a matter, you would think about what the public would think about them, irrespective of the fact that they are qualified?
Definitely. I will not, I will say that answer several times. Definitely, I would have taken them off. Look, you see, there are a lot of people, look, the legal field, is very technical, but how many are lawyers in Ghana? The reason, the lay mind is different. You even have clients who are professors. Once they are not lawyers, you see that they see the world differently. So, and even in law,
lawyers who see the world differently.
Let's say, so we see the world differently from different perspectives. Me, any day, I would have just taken them off, because you can't deal with that public perception thing. You can't deal with it totally.
Quick one,
it will linger on and linger on that, it's a reward, look, these judges are solid. Look, Marful-Sau, if not for anything at all, he even taught me at the LLM. So it's not just everyday courtroom. He taught me for a year. In Lagos at the LLM. Exactly. So they are solid. As for their qualifications, no question at all. But the timing and everything about it.
Do you think, they too should have paid attention to this and then decided that, no, we are not interested?
I think maybe
because
next
we have
time.
been nominated, we don't want to be part of this committee, because we have heard that people are saying this is a setup to remove the commissioners?
Yes, there is something to be said about it, but this hindsight, as they said in the Magon, Wound case, that with hindsight, even a fool is wiser. But it's not the hindsight, that we use in measuring, but the foresight of the reasonable man. So what we're saying is that this one, I think, is just caught all of us wrong-footed, but we are learning. So considering the public reaction, I'm sure that next time such checks will be made. That, if we find that some people are about to be elevated, we will check to see what work are they doing. If we see that there's anything that they're doing that probably the results will have to come out in the public, then we should take them off. You see, because there are other judges.
There are other
judges.
I'm coming to, but some are also asking. Let's get to the substantive questions about this. Some are asking why another set of judges to the Supreme Court, because just in 2016 we appointed, a group.
Yes.
In fact, that included Justice Marful-Sau, who we learned was actually on top of the list, but was ignored because of some political reasons.
I'm very happy you asked me that question. We need it. Look, listen, if you go through, we will need more judges. If you ask me today, looking at the Supreme Court, to be candid, we could even do double the current number. So that argument we've had from the African peer review to so many other courts where they said historically we've had 13 judges, look, please, that viewpoint, it doesn't hold sway with me. I don't subscribe to it any day. What is happening is that, look, currently the court is overwhelmed. The cases are so many. Look, you can have one hearing today, then the next time you are called to come back, it's 4 months. I've seen it in the last 2 years. There was this case that we had. You see, the one about disclosure. Okay. I first filed that case in 2016. 2 years. Look, you have one hearing today, you come back in 4 months' time, another 4 months until even the NCA case came, and then the Supreme Court finally said, okay, Mr. Akpe, will you stand aside? Let's give the decision the NCA trial. Meanwhile, this same disclosure case had been filed about 2 years previously. I could give you 1,001 examples. The court is overwhelmed. So we could even do with double the numbers. But of course, saying double at this stage will look like it's extreme.
No, but so in that court, where you have them presently, they can constitute about 2-3 panels.
Yes.
So, but they will still come to the same courtroom often.
Yeah. Yes.
So one panel will come and sit,
yes,
and then they will have to go. Then another panel will come in.
Yes.
What does that serve us? If there were a number of Supreme Court rooms, so they can sit at the same time, then you can have speed.
Yes, exactly. That will help. So it tells you that the Supreme Court itself will need reforms, because you see, when you check Dr. Iban's book, you see that this is Supreme Court. Their mandate is so wide. He's done a comparative study from other countries, and you see that ours has too much to do, too much on the plate. So all of that accounts for the way they are overburdened. And also coupled with that, you see that now almost every case from the High Court goes on appeal and eventually to the Supreme Court. So it tells you that there's a lot to be done. So let's not, let me borrow Kofi's word, let's not spend much time on whether the 4 are too many. No, we could do, as I said, honestly speaking, with even twice the number of the current Supreme Court. Okay? So let's do reforms. Let's increase the numbers, let's increase efficiency. And in this regard, look, one other thing they will need is that, you see, our judges will need proper seasoned lawyers as clerks. Currently, you have a judge, 68 years old, and doing all writing judgments by himself and all that. That's too much. That's too much. You know, in the U.S. Supreme Court, one judge has at least 3 seasoned lawyers, and not just any lawyers.
They get the best.
The best, that is the word. You know, the current Chief Justice of the U.S., he was a clerk to Rehnquist. John Roberts was a clerk to Rehnquist, who died. And the one who was sworn in recently, Neil Gorsuch, he was a clerk to Kennedy, the one who retired about 2 weeks ago. So, and if you look, the clerks, they are top prosecutors. The best of the best. Let's learn.
They catch them from the very early stages. When they finish the Harvard and things, they bring them inside.
Perfect. There's one judge who went to Uganda and came back. She says that in Uganda, they are doing that clerkship program. So a high court judge, even at the high court level, she saw one. So presumably at the Supreme Court, there will be more. Why can't we? And that's the problem that we face. It looks like we are not comparing with our neighbors. We are not checking, and then the arguments are very narrow. We will need more. So look, moving forward, let's increase the numbers. Let's give each judge at least start with a clerk each. That's a seasoned lawyer, and let's pay them well, because we need to move on. For crying out loud, we are middle income.
Yaopong has been suggesting something. Yaopong has been saying that we ought to have, let's say, the specialization in the High Court. We have now, specialized them. So you have land court, you have that court. He suggests that we should have a constitutional court.
Yes. It's so long overdue.
To take away some of the burden.
Yes, it will help. That's why. So it's about the same
like in
thing.
South Africa.
Yes. Either we have a pure constitutional court or increase the numbers in such a way that even if it's one Supreme Court, we know that there's a Supreme Court and there's a constitutional court. Let me just add one comment. If we check, the CRC also looked at this and they compared this number.
Constitutional Review Commission.
Yes, Constitutional Review Commission. They compared around the world and they also came up, they're saying that no, we shouldn't seal it because of this caseload that will hamstring ourselves, because we cannot tell into the future. So at least, and you know, Ghanaians voted, people made calls, and so they sampled the views and checked around the world and said, no, they are not for any sealing. But also the last comment is that perhaps the president should reduce the number of appointees on the Judicial Council. So that once we do, because the president appoints 4 to the Judicial...
Of the 25 members.
Exactly, 4. That's too much. So that let it be more of a technical committee, so that it will be more independent. Because if we remove the number of appointees from the president, then it will look more independent. But where the president alone appoints 1, you know, in our constitution itself, the president has too much power. He should easily cede this one.
President appoints thousands of people in this country. So do that in a minute. Let's hear.
Let me do it in a minute. Very important. And people shouldn't see this as a discussion of lawyers for lawyers by lawyers. Look, the justices, especially of the Supreme Court, are supervisors of this realm. Okay, you must note that the executive, half of us don't want an executive, 50%. And our parliament is there to do so many things, and we need them. But we have a certain mindset about the parliament. When all is said and done, the justices of the courts are the people we will run to. So this is crucial, all right? That said, where I was going is where Martin started going to. That, look, they are too thin. They are overburdened. And they are not exactly very young people. Okay, I am having a situation with, you know, them right now at the Supreme Court where we are worried about the fact that we have a case and the case is not being, you know, set, you know. So when you talk about the fact that they shouldn't have been empaneled on this issue, somebody has to do the work.
Professor Stephen Kwekwa-Asari's major complaint. He says he files a case and it takes forever. And he can't understand. He sits in America and he sees the things, you know, happening so quickly.
So point I'm making is that this fact that they were put on this committee, now we are seeing some people make seriously pointless arguments. And we are saying that, oh, we shouldn't have put them there. Who should do the work? We should go forward and we should have 15 at least. Sets of 3, 5 of them, or sets of 5, 3 of them. And like you're saying, more resources. All 5 should have rooms to sit. Because these people are the ones who determine...
Like we do for their Court of Appeal. We have a good number of them.
Yes, good number. And we should have, like you're saying, serious lawyers behind them who sometimes will write the judgments. Okay, so this is an important issue. We should not gloss over it.
All right, thank you. But whilst you are concentrating on the Supreme Court and feeling they are overburdened and they need more and all of that, I'm sure you are also familiar with the High Court situation. And you find that certain judges are just overburdened because they are efficient and they are delivering. You go to their court every day, it's packed to capacity.
I don't know how they concentrate.
Okay. Yes, Kuku.
Non-issue.
It's a non-issue?
It's a non-issue. It's because of what we've done to ourselves over the years, you know. We read politics into appointments of judges. Of course, some governments also contributed to that culture, you know, the way we've done some appointments over the years. But in the Fourth Republic, I think that generally speaking, we are okay. You remember last week, I made reference to this appointment, but I said it had no basis in terms of those who want to seek to play mischief with it relative to the work of the committee.
Okay.
I have problems with the committee's work, its verdict, but I'm not sure that these 2 personalities have been appointed to the Supreme Court because of the work they did there. It's unfair, completely unsustainable.
Okay. See? And actually, a very senior lawyer is giving me a certain, you know, assistance. He says that when the Judicial Council is considering the pool of people to be forwarded to the president for consideration, they will not know which one of them the president will settle on and nominate. So you cannot say she should have avoided nominating A or B. Because she won't know who the president would eventually settle on. And we know the issue that has also come up, that in the last time when the Judicial Council submitted the list, Justice Marful-Sau, for example, was on the top, and yet he was relegated by the John Mahama administration or the president, John Mahama. Simply, we are told again, because, again, we may say it's rumor, because he was the judge in the Ghana at 15,
exactly.
committee
exactly.
trial, where Kojo Mpianing and Charles Rekubrobe, were found not to be guilty.
Yes, but what do? You do a critique of the ruling or the judgment,
right. It's very allowed.
To see whether it was in accordance with the facts and the law. That's what you do,
right.
But not to hold it against him eternally. That because he did a judgment that favored Kojo Mpianing.
But why are you analyzing it?
No, let him go ahead. Please, let him do it.
Okay.
Let him do it. That's the way he wants to discuss it. Yeah.
We are dealing with you hold it against him for eternally. Has somebody done that? That's what I was asking. You let him finish.
That has been the politics we've played. It's true. There's no doubt about that. That's the politics we've played.
You see, some
of those judges,
it's serious.
Even if there's the truth that some of the judges were political office holders before they became, they were appointed.
Right.
And we usually read into that. It's unfair too. Justice Akins was PNDC Attorney General for a long time. Went to the Supreme Court. There were people who were suspicious. But go check his track record.
Solid.
And see whether he did not do things in accordance with the facts and the law before him. Justice Apau, he was a PNDC regional minister, or secretary if you like. So the very moment he was appointed, people want to read politics into that. I say that if you make an absolute out of that or mischievously interpret it, it's unfair to them.
What were secretaries then is what is ministers today.
Yes, I would rather, look at the content of their judgments and look for the facts and the law before them.
Yes.
Justice, is it Agnes
Dordzie.
When did she get to the High Court, Court of Appeal? 7 July 2010. Now she's been elevated to two different administrations.
Right.
So people should stop reading the politics into it. If you have facts that this person is going to be politically manipulated, bring it. Do you remember Justice Afre? That he was sent to the Supreme Court on the fast-track High Court case. The argument was that, look, he was sitting on a case at the fast-track High Court. So it means that necessarily he was going to be biased. Meanwhile, he had no personal interest, private interest in the judicial job performance, that duty that he was performing at the High Court. We've gone through this debate, look, for years.
Decades.
It's not about to end.
It's not about to end, but I'm saying that
it's taking too much energy.
No, it's the mode of appointment.
In the US, they do the same.
See, Justice Archer,
It's different.
let me come. Justice Archer, he had retired and was brought back to be Chief Justice. We went on the same wavelength, a lot of arguments. I remember one Justice Bannerman. He was not even in Ghana. He was then in Kenya. He was brought to be Chief Justice in 69 or so. So you go check the records. But after all those debates and controversies, I think that the bottom line is always to look at the judgments they pass.
Track record.
Check the facts, check the law, and see if at least they are on the right path. That's the way forward. Otherwise, we'll destroy people unnecessarily.
Thank you. John, let's hear you.
First of all, I felt very uncomfortable with this issue of Marful-Sau topping the list and being relegated. And that's why, Koko, I got worried when you were going on that tangent. But then the flip side will be that, yes, NDC did not appoint him. MPP is come, so let's appoint him.
But please, did I go in?
Yeah, that's why you said you don't hold it against him eternally and all. And I said, please don't let us go there. Look, these appointments, it may be a non-issue, but it's a major issue. In the United States, Justice Scalia, he died February 2016. Obama took steps to appoint a replacement. The Republicans insisted that it would be over their dead body. For 1 year, they held Obama's appointee hostage till Trump won. And I think on the 20th of June, after he won, he appointed the man you mentioned, Gorsuch. It's a major issue
But it's
in the United States.
They are ideological. It's not petty like
it's
our
actually
own.
different.
You call that
No,
petty?
is they say, no.
You call that
they're
petty?
No, let's not
ideological,
use
very
petty.
You
strong.
call that petty?
And that's
You
the
are talking about
ideological
somebody sat on the
argument.
committee and because of that they've been appointed to the Supreme Court. That's petty.
Can I make my
we have
But
a
they are
history to
ideological.
Have I said
Don't
that
use
here?
that word. You see,
No,
please, what
because
we're saying is that
this is so off
I
the
think you are
issue.
being unfair to
No,
me.
hold
for
on.
lay
Making
people,
very-
lay people, please.
Look,
That's the let's not say
No,
it's petty.
then let me be
as soon
clear.
as they see that connection,
Let
they'll
me be clear.
conclude.
Let me be clear.
Yes.
But
when
we
we
have to
talk
clarify
about
things for people.
Well, that's what
we
we
do.
do.
Hold on.
This is an important
Hold on one
subject
minute.
matter for me.
Kweku is telling us something, and I said it earlier. If it's a fact, just go and check. It's a fact that these people are already on the track to this place.
Yes.
Then we have a situation like this.
I'm
and
not
somebody
even
comes,
going there.
Please.
You
So
want
I'm
to
saying,
drag me
when
there.
you put this against Neil Gorsuch's case, okay, where somebody was held for a year, it was because of deep ideological divisions. It's not because somebody sat on a committee somewhere. Let's elevate our debate to that level.
That's a key distinction.
Let's elevate our debate.
It's a key distinction.
Yes,
You
there's a
see,
key distinction there.
It has
If it's
no
ideological, no problem.
ideological issue because I'm saying that right after Scalia died, the Republicans insisted that Obama should not appoint a Chief Justice.
Ideological.
What ideological?
Because they have different philosophies.
Please.
Kofi, you have made
I
a
mean,
point.
you are
Let me-
mixing
let me-
apples
go
and
ahead.
oranges.
Yeah, go on.
Obama had not even appointed somebody for you to say that this person is tilted to the left or tilted to the right. I'm saying that right after the man died, the Republicans insisted that, look, hold it. Trump even came up with 11 names, potential candidates. So these appointments, they mean a lot to us because the Supreme Court is the apex body. And I disagree with Martin about doubling them. I rather think that we should look at efficiency. Because efficiency is about achieving the same results with the same resources. So first of all, let's ask ourselves whether the Supreme Court is well resourced. Are there 12 or so delivering efficiently? If not, deal with that efficiency. Other than that, you'll be compounding the problem. I serve in Parliament. I hold the view that we don't need 275 members.
Agreed.
That's my view. I think that if you have 200 members of Parliament, well-resourced with research assistants, we'll do a good job. Because in economics, when you pile the number, diminishing returns sets in. Drag begins to set in. I also think that we must begin to have some limits. I hold that view that we must begin to have some limits. But I think that Parliament ought to be resourced very well. Because the process is not as if the president just gets up, like you are saying, and says that, look, Kokubako is my best friend. I want to appoint him as a Supreme Court judge. First of all, let's look at the issue of ranking. If we think that Mr. A is the best, let's nominate Mr. A to the president and say that he's the best. But once you give me 4, and you say that, look, I choose 2, I'm not obliged to choose number 1. Even in the university, you might have a first class, I might have a second class. We go to job interview, and they may decide to pick the second class. So, look, if we think that the president should not have that leeway in terms of sifting through, let's begin to reform the process. Because once we begin to reform the process, then we'll be making a headway. Like you rightly said, the Judicial Council. Should the president put 4 people there? That's something that should begin to stimulate some debate. So that if we don't need 4, let's reduce it.
Yes.
Then the processes, how can we make it as transparent as possible? Because we are talking of judges. We are not just talking of political appointees. We are talking of judges. And so let's begin to interrogate these issues and let's begin to take steps to make the system much more efficient and responsive to the needs of the Ghanaian people.
All right.
Now the Electoral Commission issue.
Are we there?
No, Martin raised the issue of them sitting on it. I don't find anything unconstitutional about it. But something, can you imagine if an appeals court judge sits on a case brought against the president just for hypothetical case? And he's the one sitting on that case, and at the same time he's been recommended for promotion. There might be nothing wrong with that. But I think that we must carry the public along.
The president had not filed any petition
No,
for the removal of the
I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. So, it's because
we
there's
declined the
no,
petition
because there's a political angle to the electoral
Are you saying the
commission
president wanted a certain
issue. I
outcome?
haven't said so.
But you're suggesting it.
Please don't
We'll
draw
get there. The
conclusions.
president said this is very sad
learn from
development.
that. Let me learn
Very
from that.
sad development.
Let me learn from
because
that.
obviously, from what he has said, this is not what he wanted to be
Exactly.
the outcome.
I'm
So,
saying
but
that
he has performed his constitutional duty.
Yes, he can say that. I mean, that's for that one. We'll come to Dr. Baumia. The things they say, we can interrogate it. But I'm saying that if I had my way, I'm not doubting their credibility.
Okay.
I'm not doubting their integrity. I'm told, I don't know Mr. Marful-Sau. I'm told that he's one of the most intelligent judges you can ever come across.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that if I had my way, they shouldn't have sat on that case. It's my personal opinion, and I'm entitled to that opinion.
Okay.
See, I was talking about the fact that we've had a history. I was thinking that after a period, this many years of dealing with such things, we would have arrived at a situation where we only look at facts and the law. See, you remember the good old...
But you say in this open society, and democracy, you prefer the ugly...
Wait. I've not placed an injunction on people talking. That's not what I've done.
Right.
I'm saying that in dealing with it, we should let clarity and the benefit of history guide us. You recall, I was going to give a classic example. Justice Apalu, the late, who became Chief Justice. You recall what happened in his case before Parliament in the Third Republic.
Okay.
You know, indeed the minority walked out, the majority voted against him. Eventually, that's what went to court.
Yes, and the court struck it down.
Before Attorney General.
He became one of the best Chief Justices we've had. Meanwhile, people were reading into his appointment, one, the CPP, PNP elements, because of the Palu Commission, the findings that they did, and then two, his association with the AFRC matters. You remember? And we read politics into it and agitated with his integrity and everything in doubt. But his performance, very long standing, for some years, I think 8 or you can give me the right figure, perfect. Justice. So we should be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. If we may add, you know the same thing happened to Justice Atuguba when he was nominated. Yes, very high people in office today said that, oh, Atuguba coming from Bolga, he hasn't seen much practice, so he's not fit for the Supreme Court. See what he's done. If you check, forget about it, you see, very high people. People in high places today, that's what they said. But, you know.
So today, if you are counting those who can be said to be the bedrock of the Supreme Court within a certain generation, you can't take Atuguba out, you know, as in cross him out. Right. Very, very interesting there. I think that will be a good time to take a break, and then when we return, we'll look at the EC matters that have come up and the future of the EC. But I think I'll be doing a disservice if I didn't say this about the judgment that Marful-Sau judgment that Kuku is, you know, referred to. Now, from a professional standpoint, if you read that judgment, it is wrong to fault the judge. Because we have passed an instrument to set up the commission to probe the Ghana at 50. And in that instrument we passed, we said if you go to the place and give a testimony, that testimony will not be used in court against you.
So we tied our hands.
Then we finished, and then we sought to use that in court. So he simply looked at what you had done and said, you can't come here because this is what you did. So
and
it was engineered to be so.
The response was that
engineered.
there are many ways. The response.
It was engineered to be so. And Marful-Sau's going for a time. It was engineered to be so.
Many ways to kill a cat. That's the response.